Just one taste and I'm wanting more, shawty. Waiting you give me is not enough. Oh. You know,
The woman should definitely compliment what the husband is bringing in. And I would even go so far as to just explicitly say the woman shouldn't make more than her husband because that resets the dynamic, that inverses the dynamic. And no matter how good people make it sound like, oh, it's okay that I'm making more money than him, I'm still submissive, I'm still, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It just doesn't. Even men themselves. It's kind of like polygyny in a way. A lot of men are for polygyny until they actually get into it. And then they see after it's too late how destructive and painful it really is. And really it was more of a headache than they really even themselves had considered. But I say that to say there are brothers who, yeah, it's hard out here. Yeah, you need two incomes. Yeah, we know the system is against the family altogether. The woman gets paid more for some reason. I don't believe women, even in the workplace, like I said, women shouldn't be in the workplace at all. I don't believe women should get paid more. Absolutely not. That's not fair. Women are not as productive as men, as consistent as men, and it should be no reason that women are out here making more than men when half the time we be having brain fog and mood swings and cramps and we debilitated, for half the month. We can't do 100% production the same way that they can do. And this is not to diminish women. This is not to degrade women at all. This is something we should understand about ourselves and welcome our creative flow in different ways.
You're not crazy, ladies. For too long, PMS has been misunderstood, and misinformation about PMS has been weaponized against women to infantilize and belittle us. I'd like to offer an alternative perspective. Instead of merely premenstrual syndrome, PMS for me stands for protecting my sacredness. Although I've been exploring womb healing and womb health since the birth of my first child in 2009, studying midwifery and doula sciences and other sacred arts of femininity, it wasn't until literally this past year, maybe from 2022 to the present, where I have been introduced to the game-changing concept of cycle seasons. Over the course of a month, or a moon phase, women change with the seasons. It's so funny because I often think about men who desire multiple women, and even in a monogamous relationship, if you're truly in tune with your woman's cycle, you would discover that she contains at least 4 different manifestations of herself. So you can have fun with that. During the luteal phase, for instance, which is after ovulation occurs and right before your actual bleed of your menses. In the luteal phase, a woman becomes a lioness, increasingly more fiercely vigilant about protecting her sacred space and affirming her boundaries, like a lioness or a mama bear protecting her babies. Mood swings are not about changing her mind. It is about the ways, during her follicular phase, before ovulation, a woman is more open and receptive, more social and giving, and can often be more relaxed on the accessibility she allows. However, when a woman is coming closer to the vulnerability of her moon bleed, she begins going within and reassessing what is truly precious to her, what is vulnerable and sacred, and what is non negotiable to protect and preserve her peace. So during a woman's luteal phase, like an animal in nature that retreats to solitude to give birth, the body is preparing to release and purge, and a woman's womb and soul is more open. The spiritual veils between worlds are thinned as women are more empathic as spiritual channels. And women must be more fierce in protecting that sacred openness, as the womb is literally physically open and opening before and during her moon bleed, her bleeding of her menstrual. And that vulnerability and even spiritual and emotional sensitivity must be protected. This includes protection from strangers' energy, overstimulation by noise and technology, especially messages from people or media that are not aligned with a woman's core values, and protection from the heavy lifting physically and energetically. I am thankful to have been empowered with the language to articulate this, and thankful for those around me who support in understanding and integration accordingly. So again, I offer PMS is protecting my sacredness. Be the lioness, ladies.
We don't need to be. This is why it's dangerous to us. This is why our husbands are supposed to protect us from that dangerous world out there, that corporate world, that world of the workplace. That's his job to protect us from that, because that is a world that will literally kill us. Statistics prove that women experience detrimental burnout and literal psychosis in the workplace at far, far higher rates than men. This tells us that we are not built for that life. They are. They're wired to be able to get up every day and do the same thing over and over again. We're not. And so I don't think that women should be making more than men. And it sounds good. I know a lot of brothers struggle and it's hard. And, some brothers will even say, oh, I wish my woman could make some more money. But it sounds good. But when they actually enter that dynamic, they always find that they don't feel like a man anymore. And it gets to the point where men begin to literally become depressed and suicidal. Again, I'm talking about statistics. Now, I've done my research. This is not just something I think, this is something that I know. The numbers don't lie. So the rates of men being depressed and suicidal, are going up because they're in spaces where they don't feel like men anymore. And this, again, the system is against the man, it is against the marriage, it is against family for a reason. And so, it can be hard, but it's not impossible. I believe the woman can supplement and complement the husband's income in a way that he still feels like a man. No man, if a man is being honest, he will let you know he does not want his woman to make more money than him. It never will work. No matter what you think, oh, I can still serve you and cater to you and be submissive to you. It's okay, baby, I got it. No, he's not going to feel that way. It's going to eat him up inside because he doesn't feel needed. This is why Torah literally instructs men to marry down. And again, this is not to discourage women or make women feel like we are belittled in Torah, not at all. But men are encouraged to marry down so that they have that woman to, they have to feel needed. And if the woman is smarter than him, if she's spiritually stronger than him, if she's making more money than him, ultimately it's not going to work and he's not going to feel like a man. He's not going to feel good in himself. Men have to feel like they're leading, like they're teaching us something. And yes, women are spiritually superior, but the man still has insight to be able to protect us in certain ways that we definitely need to take heed of and allow them to teach us. And I just know from experience, some may say, and I hate to even say this like this, but I don't know any other way to say, but just because of my education and my intelligence level, some may say that I was technically, quote unquote, smarter than my ex-husband, for example. But I would never say that because he has taught me so many things that, especially as a woman who grew up without a father, to this day, no matter, I did experience domestic violence and some other very heinous things in my marriage, but to this day, I'm still grateful for the things that I learned from him as a man that I could never learn as a woman. You can't learn this from no book. You can't learn this from school. You can't, so the man, we have to always revere what our husbands can teach us and what men in general can teach us, because we're not wired the same. We can't think the same. No matter how many degrees we may have, men can always lead and teach us, and they will always lead and teach us. And we have to give them that respect and let them know that we appreciate them leading and teaching us in ways that we just never would have. It's not about, what kind of education they have or don't have. So that's one thing. But, if we're walking around making more money than the man or making him feel like we're so much smarter than him, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Because ultimately what he's going to feel like is, well, what am I needed for? And if a man is not feeling needed, then he doesn't feel like a man. And when he doesn't feel like a man, he might as well. And that's what a lot of these brothers feel like. Really low key behind the scenes, a lot more men than you think are really feeling like this today. They just don't talk about it because they're not given space to talk about it the way we do. And I'm not just talking about us in this group, but women in general. There is more compassion and empathy and space given for women to have emotions and speak about what they're feeling, and not for men, especially for our men, our Hebrew brothers, our Black brothers, so we have to be mindful of that. We compliment his income, we compliment his efforts, we take what he puts on the table and expand it. We beautify it, we glorify it, we perfect it, we shape it, we form it. That's where we come in. Yeah, it's not for us. It's not for us. And a woman I always say this, femininity does not exist in survival mode. We cannot literally be feminine women when we have to work and take on the role of a man. It's impossible. So the man ensures our survival so that we are not in survival mode, so we can be feminine, so we can impart wisdom and confidence to our children by being good, soft, nurturing, maternal mothers. We can't be soft and maternal and loving and nurturing and nourishing if we burnt out, stressed out, and don't have time for them. We turn into literal monsters. And again, men have the capacity to carry that in a different way. I've seen it for myself. Men can go out here and face all kind of dangers and stress and still come in with a smile on their face, as long as they know they got a clean home to come to and children that's going to run up to him and give him a hug and a wife that he can go on back in that bedroom to. He can face anything and come in still with a smile. Women, no, we can't do it. We be turning into whole monsters. Like, it's just not. It's not. And we're not meant to have the capacity to take that and stay in our feminine, especially for our children. It's very hard being single mothers. It's very hard to be a working mother, because that femininity just isn't, we can't. It just doesn't exist. So the man's job is to provide so that we can be feminine and create that beautiful home and those beautiful children and our beautiful selves for him to come home and enjoy.
Addicted, oh baby, I'm getting addicted, oh,